It was like dog's puke.
That's right, Lewis Hamilton. It did taste like dog puke. We'll get into that. What am I talking about? Oh, I'll just screw it. I'm going to tell you now. This is take 2 on the show. Why? Because my wife's aunt, Gam, she was nice enough to bring me back a little treat from Kentucky. She got me some dried tarantula and dried black scorpion, I think is what it is. Okay. And she's like, yeah, have fun with it. Do something on your little show. It would be great. She sounds nothing like that. Okay. She's nothing. But for the sake of this story, that's exactly how she sounds. So she gives me these, and in like an hour ago, I'm like, let's do that part of the show. Let's start the show off that way. Then I can constantly refer back to it, right? Seems like a great idea until I open it up. And I'm going to actually use that footage because I recorded it, and I'm going to make a video out of it because it's genuine. It's me. The tarantula, I got to be honest, guys, tarantula tasted fine. It didn't really have much of a flavor, but it was airy. It was very soft, as in it broke apart in my mouth very easily. Then I get to the scorpion. Guys, this was not like the scorpion that you get in those suckers that you go to a candy shop and they have, right? You've seen those. My kids have ate them. And those are like maybe just bigger than your thumbnail, or depending on how big your hands are. This thing was about 4 inches long, and it was solid. It was fully intact except for like one of the little legs. One of the little legs was broken off. Otherwise, it was solid. And when I put that motherfucker in my mouth, which, by the way, it still had hairs on it. It had hairs on it. When I put that in my mouth, it was so freaking hard and crunchy. And at first, I was like, oh, it doesn't have that bad of a taste. It's kind of good. Then all of a sudden, the aftertaste kicks in. Because it took me a while to eat it, by the way, because it was so much. And it was just so, ugh. I almost threw up. And when I play that soundbite of Lewis Hamilton, one of the owners slash one of the, he's like an FS. He's a fast car driver. One of those guys. That's a technical term. He drives fast. One of those guys says something tastes like dog puke.
It was like dog's puke.
I've never consumed dog puke, but I assumed that that's what it tasted like. It was disgusting. Disgusting. And the reason why I'm redoing the show is because it totally derailed me. Totally. You guys know me. Any little sound or randomness gets in front of me, boom, it screws me up the rest of the show. So I tell my wife, because the kids are out, they're out and about with their Gam, having a good time. I'm pre-recording this for, this airs on Wednesday, but I'm recording it on the weekend because the kids are off this week, like I've been telling you in the previous episodes. So I'm like, I got to re-record this. I got to redo it. You know what? And I think it's totally worth it because I had to cleanse my palate. Ate some leftover pasta. I think I'm good. Go, guys. Go, guys. Go, guys. Maybe I'm not good. Holy shit. What if I'm allergic to those things? And next thing I know, at the end of the show, I look up at the camera and I'm all puffy. Puffier than normal. Oh my God, it's the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. Dear Lord, he's real. Sweet Jesus. He's real. Devil be gone. Get out of Scott the Huff's body. He is clearly an obese demon inside his body that's trying to rip it from the inside out. Be gone, devil, be gone. Like, nope. He's just having an allergic reaction. Either that or he ate too many burritos. Am I right? Anyway. Hey, this show... Thank you guys so much for joining the show. I hope you're having a great day. A lot to get into. Make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching. And remember, today's show is presented to you by Bet Online. In fact, Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA to political props. Now, when the game's over, head on over to their online casino, get in on the game of blackjack or poker, or you can unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Go to betonline.ag right now to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. It's BetOnline. The game starts here. Oh, my God. Yeah, I feel a lot better. I do feel a lot better. Got a belly full of pasta. I'm good. And speaking of being good, let's jump into some headlines.
Let's go! Let's go!
And now, here are the headlines.
This is something that I don't want to hear. If I get a piece of bread, or excuse me, a loaf of bread with a rat in it. This is what the headline says. Durban woman told these things happen after finding a dead rat in a loaf of bread. These things happen. It's fine. When I worked at Safeway, I remember we had, because at grocery stores, there's always mice in the back room. And eventually they'll make their way out into the main floor. It happens. And I remember a lady came up to me and the person that was working the register, and she said she was just pissed. And she's like, there is a mouse in the loaf of bread over there. So I got to go check it out. And sure as shit, there was a hole underneath the bread display because it was right in front of the deli. They had some like wooden shelves. Well, apparently after a while, mice had been chewing through that wood and they got up into the bread. And sure as shit, there was a fat, happy mouse chewing on some bread. You guys got to be careful when you go to a grocery store because sometimes that shit can happen. It's disgusting. It's not unheard of as far as mice go, getting into bread, the things that are easy for it to get into. And it's a constant battle with pest control at grocery stores. It just is. And some restaurants are that way too, depending on the location. As long it's probably harder at a grocery store to keep mice away because there's constantly food in the back. They're constantly getting shipments in from warehouses, and they can do a good job of keeping that particular store clean, but the warehouse could just undo that in a heartbeat with one delivery. Next thing you know, your clean establishment could have a mouse problem, literally, like I said, with one shipment. So that's not something I want to hear, though, if I'm a customer and I get a loaf of bread with a fucking mouse in it. These things happen. It's fine. Just eat around it. How pissed would you be? Because I get mad and irritated if, like the other day, because we pre-order our groceries, so I just basically show up and they put it in the back of my car. It's a lot easier because we got a lot going on. It's just simpler, right? We've been doing that right before the pandemic and just kind of went right through it. It's a lot less stressful. So I was irritated the other day. One, there was a cracked egg. I always, when I would go into the grocery store, I check every single egg. When I go get a carton, I flip it over, flip it open in front of the case and check each egg. I move every single one to make sure that it's not cracked on the bottom because if it is, most likely it'll stick and won't move. And I also check the tops to make sure that none are cracked. Well, I get the carton of eggs and there was one broken. That pissed me off. Not the end of the world. But what really drove me nuts was when they put the groceries in the back of my car, they shoved like the cheese was wedged under like cans and then something else. So when I got the slices of cheese, of provolone cheese, they were basically cut from the pressure from the fucking can. That pissed me off. I'm like, come on. And bless my daughter's heart. She saw that and she's like, you know what? It's still good, Dad. I'm like, sure, if you're an animal like you. We still ate it. It's fine. Not the end of the world. It's just, it's those things happen. But if you got, I've never experienced it where I've got bread home and then there's been like chew marks on the product. That would gross me out. I would flip my shit. You go to make a sandwich and they're like, oh, that's weird. There's a hole in the middle. And then there's like a fucking mouse looking at you.
What the fuck?
No, no, thank you. I'm good. Oh, so gross. That's not what a customer wants to hear. Well, these things happen. We get it. That's not what I want to hear. You're telling the truth. Yes. Lie to me and say, oh my God, we are so sorry. Don't even say it happened. Just say, oh my God, I've never seen this before. I don't care if you see that every single fucking day. Lie to me, please, for the love of God. I think some people were lied to when you get into this next story. They didn't read the fine print or the details, the synopsis of what they were about to go experience. A graphic opera in Germany sent 18 people to I guess they didn't say hospital, they just had to get medical attention, right? Says 18 people needed medical attention during an opera that featured nuns, sex scenes, mutilation, and real blood. Okay, I gotta be honest. When I see a lot of articles written about this, they don't add in the mutilation and real blood. They just add the nuns and sex scenes to make it like, oh, these prudes got so freaked out because they saw some boobs. And they're like, you guys are kind of leaving out the mutilation and real blood. My goodness. But the other stuff's good. Oh, damn it. The volume got turned down.
And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
I like boobies too. I do. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Florentina Holzinger's Sancta, I hope I nailed that, also includes naked roller skating nuns and a depiction of a wall of crucified naked bodies. I mean, I'm sure some people might have been offended by some of that, but do you really need the real blood to get the point across? Use paint. Use something else. Tomato sauce. That'd be great. You don't need to use real blood. That being said, the fact that so many entities have done articles on this particular play, it's getting the desired effect. Like everybody knows about it. That being said, I have zero interest to go see anything except for the naked bodies. But other than that, I have no interest in seeing this play. Be like, when the boobies show up, forget the blood squirting onto the audience. You got to wear, wear a poncho. If they're handing out ponchos to you to see this, drama play thing, you're like, geez, is it going to be a water? They're like, nah, you're wearing white? Oh, bad choice. That person's wearing red. Great choice. And if you don't put those things together as you're walking in there, slipping on your poncho, I guess it's on you. There should be a disclaimer at the bottom. Be like, hey, FYI, there might be real blood coming your way. It's disgusting. That's where it's like art just goes a little too far. A woman pled guilty to trying to smuggle 29 turtles across a Vermont lake into Canada via kayak. The only reason I bring up this story is I'm sure she just had like a sack of turtles, right? Maybe a box. Something smart. She's in her kayak going left, left, right, right, break. Left, left, doing the kayak thing. Okay? Good for her. She had a plan and they were in a box. But then I was thinking, if that was a dude trying to smuggle turtles, 29 of them, into Canada, that motherfucker would be having them down his pants. Because for whatever stupid reason, it seems like every time I tell a story about a dude smuggling animals into one country to another, it's down his pants. The guy got caught smuggling 29 snakes. Guess where they were? Down his pants. He had an alligator. Guess where it was? Down his pants. He had a tiger. Down his pants. Right? Why? What's our obsession with that? I'm sure ladies have done it once or twice, but let's be honest. It's the dudes. It's our go-to. And it made me think, it spider-webbed into me thinking about when I was a kid, and the biggest thing I ever stole. You, I think when you were a kid, let me know what things you've stolen in the comments below. Just write it. Just write, I stole bubble gum from here, blah, 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 or whatever. And then just write -anonymous, even though it says your name. But that would be just funny, okay? We all, most of us stole something as simple as candy, bubble gum. There was times where I stole football cards because I was really into football, baseball, basketball cards, right? I've talked to you about that before. I think it's a fun thing. I don't know if it's as popular as it used to be, but it is a good way to learn about your favorite players, their stats, and etc. Random facts. But the biggest thing I ever stole, as far as value, in the one where I'm glad I didn't get in trouble, is there was a Circle K in Broomfield where I grew up, and my buddy lived just down the road from it. So we rode our bikes over there, and he had been doing this like apparently nonstop. They had the magazines out, Sports Illustrated, the Beckett. If you don't remember what the Beckett is, that's where you could check the value of your baseball card, football card. They had Beckett's for football and all the other sports, right? They had, Good Housekeeping. And then a little bit higher on the rack was all the dirty magazines. Hustler, Penthouse, and then all the obscure ones. Well, I set my sights on one called High Society. I'll never forget that. I just thought it was funny, and I'm like, it seems classy. It does. So I'm gonna steal that one. And they had a bathroom in the back room, and my buddy was kind of walking me through the stages. God rest his soul, Bryce, my best bud. And he's just like, he's he tells me, he's like, hide it from sight and ask them if you could use the restroom, and they'll tell you where it is, and you just go down here and turn, and it's going to be to the left, and then you go back there and just put it down your pants. So sure enough, I ask them, and they're like, yeah, it's over there, whatever, go. And I'm like, okay. And then I make sure I'm looking at them, and they're having a conversation, and I'm like, shit, nice. So I have the magazine just basically wrapped around my leg. They can't see it. And I walk back there, look at it, of course, and I'm like, oh, boobies. All right. This is fun. She looks like she has a nice personality.
And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
So I go in the back, put it in there, and it's funny because I'm in looking in. Thankfully, they had a mirror, because I'm like looking in the mirror. I'm like, you can tell I have something down my pants and in my shirt, because it's all flat and pointed. So I'm like really working it, and it's like really down my pants. So I eventually come out, and I'm like, hey, Bryce, I think we should go. Nothing I want to get here. And then I had to slowly walk out because one, I was afraid that it would shift and then just shoot down my short legs, or my short pants, whatever. Or I would move in a direction, and it would be obvious that I had something down my pants. It's so funny. So that's the biggest thing that I've ever stolen, which, by the way, I posted that on Twitter, And Rush 21479 said, not shocking. That's not shocking. Yeah, so let me know if you don't have to, but if you want to have some fun with it. I just, nobody's gonna get you. Nobody's gonna get you. Be like, you're the guy that used to steal Dr. Pepper gum, huh? You son of a bitch. Did you ever try Dr. Pepper gum? That shit was amazing. That's where I got hooked on Dr. Pepper. I'm not a huge soda guy, but if I have the opportunity to drink a can, that got to be out of the can, of Dr. Pepper, that's my go-to. I love that. That or cherry Pepsi. So freaking good. So good. But they used to have gum, like bubble gum of Dr. Pepper, and in the middle of it would be like this syrup explosion of Dr. Pepper. It was so good. They also did like Mountain Dew and some other flavors. But that's the one I remember because that was my jam. That was fucking delicious. But going back to it, dudes just like to shove shit down their pants when they're stealing shit. Weird. Bizarre. But hey, here we are. Sorry. It's just, you bring up one thing and then it just leads to another conversation. Hold on one second. I forgot to pull up a soundbite. And there's a good reason why I need this soundbite. When I play it, you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense. Hackers took over robovacs. What are those vacuums that just go by themselves and they're bouncing all over the place, cleaning your house nonstop. I know I have friends that have one. They love it. If we did that, my dog would be so fucking pissed. He hates flies. He hates any time a fly gets in the house. It just pisses him off, and he just like hides under the bed. That's like his kryptonite is a fucking fly. Somebody tries to break in, he's going to rip their face off. They could have a gun. He doesn't care. He's going to rip their face off. Okay? A fly gets in the house. Fuck it, Dad. You're on your own. That's my dog. But anyway, these hackers took over the robovacs, and somehow they must have a camera or something on them so they could see, because they were using them to chase the pets. And to make it just terrible, they were yelling racial slurs. It's like, okay, guys, it's kind of funny when you're doing the chasing the animals, chasing the cat and all that shit. But then once you start being, racist about it, that's fucked up. You take something that's the classic, everybody's having a good time, and then Todd over there starts being racist, and you're like, okay, you've had too much to drink. Oh, you're sober. Oh, you're sober. That's fucking great. You're just naturally a fucking moron. So, like, could you, if you did it, what would you have? Obviously you don't want to be racist. That's fucked up. But I think it would be funny to just say random shit or play sound bites like this.
Why you fucking hot on?
Right? You fucking hot on? That would be hilarious. Or, if you find out the name of one of the people, you just start playing this sound bite.
Shut the fuck up, Kyle!
That would be amazing. Shut the fuck up, Kyle. My God. The wife comes over.
And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
Who showed you her boobies? You son of a bitch. I can't trust you anymore. You bastard. Somebody's showing him her boobies. And now you want me to change the batteries in the machine? I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry. Oh, that's funny. Good times. Hey, speaking of good times, great oldies, cool 105. That's only relevant to people that live in Colorado. My buddy Sean, who listens to the show nonstop, decided to step up his game. And he said, listen, DeHuff, I'm going to be a man of my word. And he made me some opens for when we talk sports. and I'm kind of mixing sports and the mailbag together. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's jump into some sports.
Going deep, tight ends and long balls. No, it's not an invitation to a Diddy party.
Oh, gross!
It's sports with the Huff.
Yeah, it sounds so good. Another man's voice piercing through the airwaves, penetrating your earbuds. I don't even know what I'm saying now. I'm just saying words. It must be all that toxins from the tarantula in the black scorpion. Why's it got to be black? You fucking racist. I don't know. That's what it said on the package. That's what it said. It said it was from Thailand.
Hey everybody, here's some fun facts. The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice.
I'm sorry. It's like I got my head banged. Like I was walking down the street and something just fell on my head, like a bowling ball. What's wrong with Scott? I don't know. Don't know. Now he calls it Thailand. Thailand. Art said, moving along, do you think there should be big penalties to players that fake injuries? Well, Art, I think you're talking about when that whole Ole Miss, the football game where all of a sudden it's like the quarterback was signaled to tell the running back to fake an injury, something like that. Excuse me. And then all of a sudden the running back plops on the ground and is clearly faking an injury. Well, let me play you something from Nick Saban, legendary college head football coach. Nick Saban was on ESPN's College GameDay the other day, and this conversation got brought up. So let's jump in on Nick Saban.
Yeah, this is the integrity of the game. And there's no player that flops in a game that doesn't get a signal from the coach to do it, to slow the game down. But, there's a history to all this because in the old days, you used to have to get up and run off the field if you got injured. I mean, I broke my leg and I got to run off the field. Dog. Well, fastball came along, so everybody said if you get injured, stay down. Stay down. Don't get up because, we can't substitute fast enough.
Right.
All right, so now people are taking advantage of this rule. But I think until there's some penalty for doing it, and I know it's a very sensitive subject for an official to make a determination about is a player injured or not, but there should be a flop rule. And if a guy actually gets up, runs down, and then right before the play starts, he flops, maybe it should be a charge timeout, for that team because it's pretty obvious some of these situations where guys are flopping and they're not injured.
I wonder how many times Nick Saban, that should have been the follow-up question, right? But they're not going to do that on the show. I wonder how many times Nick Saban did that. I would like to ask him. Follow-up. How many times did you tell a player to fake an injury so you could buy some time? I would be curious if he would be honest about it. Because he's essentially calling everybody out. And I'm sure everybody's going to be digging through, all these football nerds are going to be digging through tape and going, oh, there it is. There's a time that this guy clearly is faking an injury. So he's just admitting it. So another thing in regards to Nick Saban, I get where he's coming from. I appreciate his honesty, but it makes you wonder how many times did he do it? It's kind of jacked up now that he's an analyst, that now he's just like, calling people out, revealing the dirty secrets of college football. But that being said, I'm sure there's going to be people that the anti-Alabama people are going to be fucking pissed about this. They're going to be like, that son of a bitch, he was dirty player. That's the only reason he won is because he made players fake injuries. What else was he cheating? I don't think it's the end of the world, but it is kind of jacked up. And like he said, it's just coaches taking advantage of the way the rules are set up. And I know at the end, he's talking about how that, if it's obvious, then they should be penalized. But then you're putting that judgment of an injury, something that should be taken very seriously. And then you're telling the referees, be like, no, if you think he's faking it, call him out. But how can you determine that? You can't. It's a great question, Art, because it really makes you think. I don't, if it's an obvious flop, like I'm talking European players, LeBron James on the basketball court type flop, right? If it's one of those where they're like, "Whoa, he hit me!" Oh, or the quarterback does that and trying to draw a penalty on the defender, something like that, then you get a penalty. I can see kickers doing that shit. But if all of a sudden a player gets up and he goes back into the huddle and then he collapses, are you going to throw a penalty because, well, he walked over? Good example of that is and it's an extreme example. Damar Hamlin, when he died on the field, he got up and took a few steps and then collapsed. He seemed fine and then all of a sudden collapsed. You know, you could have a moment like that. Hopefully there's never a moment like that again. But, if there's hesitation in that moment, be like, oh, I think he's faking. He's faking. He stopped his heart. This guy's crafty. That could be devastating if the referees are doing, if they're making those judgment calls, or like, quit being a pussy, get up. Well, he's dead, sir. That's a very crude way to look at it. But I think unless it's a flop, I don't think you can make that. Unless the referee hears it, I don't think that they should interfere with that, because it's going to bite them in the butt. So unless it's clear as day that they're faking getting hit by a defender or another opposing player, or if the referee knows 100% that he heard the call of he needs to pretend to be injured to buy time, then make it a 15-yard penalty on sportsmanlike conduct or something like that. That's it, right? That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you're asking too much of the referees, and that could have devastating consequences on the player that could be actually hurt. Could you imagine if you just snapped your leg and the referee's like, get up, or it's a 15-yard penalty? Like, no, I got a big owie on my leg, you butthole. Owie. Then later, the ref's just like getting questioned, be like, did you tell him to get up and his leg was snapped? It was like literally bent in an L. And he's like,
I didn't do fucking shit.
Referees be sitting there going, that looks like Kyle's hurt. Oh, look at that. And Kyle, are you okay? Oh God, it hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad.
Shut the fuck up, Kyle!
Shut the fuck up, Kyle. You fucking pussy. God dang it. It's funny though, like I said, I don't blame the players in this situation. That's a coaching thing based on what Nick Saban's saying. So if a player goes down and pretends to be hurt, it's because he's being coached to do that or told to do that, and whether it's prior to the game or in-game situation. So it's kind of, I guess, when you look at it, people faking injuries and flopping. You got basketball. I blame the players on that one because they're soft as butter. Okay, football, I'm going to blame the coaches. Right? It's the coaches. Soccer, that's the players. It's the players. Hockey, that's not even a thing. That's not an option. Hockey players could lose like a left eye and they'll still be out there. Be like, fine. The only way they go in is if they're knocked unconscious, or there's a severe amount of blood, or the ref tells them to get off the ice. It's the only way they stop playing. Hockey players are nuts. Freaking nuts. They are tough as nails. That's for damn sure. I'm always impressed when I see a hockey fight. Like, I'd get my ass kicked just standing flat-footed, but they're on skates, on ice, and they're making it seem so freaking simple. That it's really cool. I think it's cool. I have a buddy that used to play for the DU Pioneers. He's now a hockey coach in, I don't know what league it is, but he did have a cup of coffee in the pros. Gabe Gauthier, and he's a good dude. I need to ask him about that. Maybe interview him and just be like, how do you learn how to hockey fight? I want to know that. I don't care about anything else going on in your life. I don't. I just want to know how you hockey fight. I can't skate to save my life. I've only been on ice skates once, and I was like 7 years old. Hated every fucking second of it. I've been on roller skates. I was on roller skates when maybe 10 years ago. Fell on my ass, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. That same day, our friend Rachel was on roller skates with us, and she fell, and she broke her wrist. Her wrist is still fucked up. Can't give her high fives. She's just like, God. We just call her Claw Woman. That's crazy. She cries so much over it. Just kidding. Hey, Claw Woman, come here. Come here. Hold this. You can't. You can't. That's so interesting. Let me know your thoughts. You can comment below wherever this is. If you're watching, if you're listening, you can always send me an email to huffpodcast@gmail.com. I love the interaction. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. Got a lot of viewers now on TikTok, on Twitter, and it's growing on YouTube. And Facebook is there. It's doing okay. So yeah, if you want to interact, you can just go ahead and comment down below or shoot me an email, like I said, to huffpodcast@gmail.com. It's always interesting to hear from you guys, whether it's talking about this whole penalties for faking injuries. Maybe you want to talk about what you would like to yell, as long as it's not really, really inappropriate. Nothing sexist or racist. What would you have if you were able to hack in a robo vacuum, what would you make it say? I think what you would want to do is first lay back and figure out what are the people's names that own this product, and just start fucking with them. Be like, make it seem like their house is haunted. David, I'm the prostitute that you killed. I swear to God, I didn't know she was a prostitute. Wait, what? No. If you were going to smuggle 29 turtles, where would you hide them? Okay, let me know in the comments. And has there ever been anything gross that you've found in your groceries? Or something that just sets you off when you get your groceries home and you're like, really? How does this happen? Son of a bitch. Son of a biscuit-loving son of a bitch. Anyway, you guys are amazing. Thanks for interacting. Art, thank you so much for joining the show today. You really appreciate it. If you want to be like Art, like I said, you can comment on this episode, and I'll get to them in the future episode. Or you can hit me up via email, dehuffpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can get me on my socials @DeHuffPodcast. You guys are amazing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're consuming this. Big thanks to Bet Online. Go check out betonline.ag. You guys are fantastic. Have a wonderful day. Let's continue to move forward. I'll talk to you next time.